Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Ham Nation is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and once again, time for Twit's audience survey. We'd really like to hear from you. It's only going to take a couple of minutes, really. That's all. Just go to twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. Your anonymous feedback will help us make Twit even better. And thanks for your continued support.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by Icom. For more information, visit icomamerica.com/hamnation. By Hover. Finding the perfect domain name is incredibly easy with Hover. Go to hover.com and use the promo code HAMNATION at checkout to save 10% off your first purchase. And by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 200-plus job boards, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/twit.
This is Ham Nation, episode 286 for February 8th, 2017. Radio Silence. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ham Nation. Bob is out this week. Gordo is out this week. They're running around in Orlando for a hamcation down there. I know a lot of us wish that we could be there with them this week. But we've got a fun show lined up tonight. It's going to be a double-barrel episode of Smokin Solder. We've got a video from Randy tonight and one from me, too. I'm trying to fill in a little extra time there. And we've got some of the usual suspects here. To my right, when I point left here, that way, to this right.
Yeah, they're right.
Is Don Wilbanks. Hi, Don.
Hey, how you doing? Good to see everybody tonight. We do not have Dr. Scove with us tonight via Memorex, but she sent me the solar update stuff that she does, and so we'll attempt to pass that information on to you. And we're recovering from the weird tornado in New Orleans, several in New Orleans yesterday, an EF3. Just amazing. We'll give you more details on that a little bit later on in the show. But we're all safe, and the important thing is nobody died. So it's all good, George. Back to you.
That is good news there, Don. It got a little stormy here. It was a one-sider here on the transmitter scale. It only knocked out one transmitter site. So 6 a.m. wake-up call and drive out to the site. You always look forward to getting woke up in the morning to go to a transmitter site. But, that's part of the job, I guess. Well, we've also got Val with us tonight. And, Val, what are you going to be talking about?
Well, as you know, I just came back from Arecibo and visiting the observatory, as well as going to the Puerto Rico State Convention. Too much to cram into one segment. So tonight we're going to talk about the convention. In 2 weeks, I've got some great video from when we went out onto the platform at Arecibo, and lots of good stuff. WPX contest coming up this weekend, and lighthouses and good stuff coming up. No tornadoes here, just 5 inches of snow since 10 o'clock this morning. So we're getting the other end of the spectrum.
Okay, great to have you back again and back in the country as well. And also an extra special treat tonight. We woke up Amanda and got her on the show early tonight. Hi, Amanda.
Well, good evening, George, and everyone else out there. On the other end of the spectrum, 65 degrees here in Colorado today. So you guys will be watching the chat room and taking your questions, and we'll be addressing them at the end of the show. Back to you, George.
Okay, we'll see you later in the show, Amanda. Now let's go to Don and see what's going on in the wide, wide world of Newsline.
Why don't we do that then? Here it is, the news of the week from Amateur Radio Newsline. From Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2049, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, February 8th, 2017. Radio spans the globe. It knows no borders and is within reach of every person on the planet. There's no better way to celebrate it than World Radio Day. Here's how hams will do it in London.
World Radio Day London will be held on Friday the 10th of February between 3 and 8 p.m. local time, just a few days before World Radio Day. That global event, organised by UNESCO, is devoted to exploring radio in all its incarnations. It's a day for education and celebration among industry professionals, academics, radio enthusiasts and people curious about the art and science of radio. The worldwide event is in its 6th year. In London there will be a free radio fair hosted by SOAS Radio with exhibits, workshops and speakers from the BBC, Refugee Radio Brighton and the University of Sunderland. The event is being co-hosted by the Communication for Development Network and Centre of African Studies. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Bucci for NJH.
Sad news for hams and everyone involved in the New York City Marathon. Here's Paul Brown, WD9GCO.
Alan Steinfeld, W2TN, never ran the New York City Marathon, but he was always with its athletes every step of the way. The longtime radio licensee, who was the marathon's former race director, became a silent key on Tuesday, January 24th. An avid athlete himself who had run in the Honolulu and Boston marathons, Steinfeld worked alongside New York City race founder Fred Lebeau, starting as technical director of the marathon and later as its president. The race had a significant amateur radio component since the 1970s, when the late Steve Mendelson, W2ML, mobilized a team for radio support. A sprinter more than a long-distance runner, he never took part in New York's own famous race, but he served the race over the years as timekeeper, president, and then CEO, stepping down in 2005 for health reasons. Runner's World magazine described him as an innovative technical genius. He had been responsible for amateur radio communications network that served the race's 26.2-mile route. Alan Steinfeld was 70.
Australian hams remember their Pearl Harbor with a special event.
Japanese air raids on Darwin and northern Australia during World War II marked the single largest assault on the nation by any foreign power. It was an attack that practically destroyed the city. Special event call sign VI-8BOD will commemorate this important piece of wartime history as the Darwin Amateur Radio Club begins operation on Saturday, Feb 18, out of an old Qantas hangar in a Darwin suburb. The station will be on air until the 28th of March. The special operation is a reminder of what happened on February 19, 1942, as Japanese aircraft staged 2 air raids planned and led by the same commander who had directed the earlier attack on Pearl Harbor. 21 of the 46 ships in Darwin Harbour were sunk in the first raid, and 2 more were sunk off Bathurst Island. In response to the Japanese assault, hundreds of thousands of members of the US military were stationed in the Northern Territory. The Darwin Club, VK8DA, has been meeting since 1966 in the top end. According to the website of the Darwin Club, the station's plan is to broadcast the original warning message in Morse code, as was used at the time. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Graham Kemp, VK for Baker Baker.
And finally, a personal note. We don't normally mention local silent keys as we simply don't have time to do justice to them all. But this one hits close to home, both for me personally and for the Newsline family. Remy Bossio, N5VEG of New Orleans, lost his battle with cancer the morning of February 3rd. Remy was one of the first hams I met when I got licensed in 1995, and he was the ham who nominated Kevin Boudreau, N5XMH, our 1993 Young Ham of the Year recipient. Remy's call was sequential with Kevin's mother's call. There's so much I could share with you about this man, but sadly, time does not allow. I will tell you, Remy Bossio, N5VEG, lived well, was greatly loved, and passed peacefully. And in the end, isn't that everything one could ask for? Remy Bossio, N5VEG, was 71. For the rest of this week's Amateur Radio News, please listen to the full Amateur Radio Newsline report online on a repeater near you or on shortwave radio station WTWW at 9930 and 5085 kilohertz. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at www.arnewsline.org. With Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, Paul Brown, WD9GCO, Graham Kemp, VK4BB, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW, 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. All right. And, of course, no Tamitha tonight with us live, but we do have some images from her, and we have a solar update. So, Brian, if we'll throw the first one up there, we'll tell you about the solar storm and aurora outlook. She says we're settling back down into quiet conditions as we finally exit the fast wind stream. No solar storms mean the ham band should be good as long as the solar flux stays elevated. Then taking a look at the solar flare radiation storm outlook. The next slide, have a new region forming now within the last 4 hours, in fact, that might give us some low-level flaring, which means minor noise on the bands on the day side. It's good because it'll keep solar flux levels in the marginal range needed for propagation. She says that they're watching the stability of this region closely as it's growing quite fast. Likely NOAA will number it region 2635. So, of course, you can follow her on Twitter. Her Twitter handle is @TamithaScove, and I highly recommend that because she tweets incessantly all the time, and it's always great information. She's on Facebook as well, so you might want to check her out. So, yeah, solar storms, those are beginning to calm down a little bit. But, man, the weather here in New Orleans yesterday, crazy. An EF3 tornado, winds upward of 130-something miles an hour. At last count, I heard 250 structures damaged, both businesses and homes. 30-some-odd people injured. Only a handful, though, less than 10, I think, or around 10, were classified as moderate to severe injuries, and thankfully no deaths. So the biggest tornado down here in this part of South Louisiana, for sure New Orleans. It's never had an EF3 before. Very strange weather, but then unlike the plains, this is our tornado season down here. They tend to happen in January and February. So, George, that's what's going on down here. Much calmer weather today. In fact, it was a rather beautiful day. A little bit brisk on the windy part, though. But a good day, George. How are things up in Jackson?
Well, currently it's 72 degrees, and that really feels good. But tomorrow it's going to be back down in the 50s again. Fortunately, just in time for me to have to put on the waders and head back out to the swamp. Ask me about my shirt, Don.
Well, say, George, how about that shirt? Tell me more about this shirt, because I've been thinking about this shirt all freaking day long now that you mention it. In fact, I didn't sleep last night because of that shirt. It's so loud. So tell me more about that, would you please?
Well, George's wardrobe tonight is courtesy of Andy Anderson, KE0AYJ. He's over in the chat room right now. Andy was recently in Hawaii and bought several shirts for his wardrobe, and he said this one right here was not his color, so he sent it to me. And I want to say thanks, Andy. I will wear this with pride. And
wow,
often.
You're a regular Don Ho, ain't you?
When you put on a shirt like this, you can't help but feel like that.
Well, yeah.
Well, you were talking about the space weather earlier. I didn't check it this week, but Monday night, it was some pretty good propagation. There wasn't a lot of lightning static out there. There was a little bit, but I eased on down the DX window right below 3,800 megahertz and was able to talk to some hams that I hadn't talked to in several years over in Germany and Austria. So good propagation earlier this week. And, I like to do that, but I just don't do it that much. And I need to go ahead and get on there some more pretty quick here before the summertime gets here and the static, really plays havoc with it. Well, we'll be back in just a moment, but first we've got a message from Icom. 2017 is here. Let Icom keep the New Year momentum rolling with an array of radios to help you communicate and listen all year long, no matter where the year may take you. Base stations, mobile transceivers, handhelds, and more, Icom has all the equipment to make 2017 the best year yet. Communicate with the touch of your fingertips. Perfect for small spaces, the IC7100 is the ideal D-Star option to help you communicate anywhere throughout the year. Angled control head and touchscreen for quick, intuitive operation. Large internal speaker for clear digital audio, and it's perfect for multiband and all-mode communications. Planning to be on the move this year? Back for a limited time, the IC7200 is a great option for hams wanting a rugged device to carry out into the field. Simple and tough with IFDSP, digital noise reduction, and USB port for PC control. Ideal for the ham on the go, the IC7300 is the new radio everyone's talking about. It's a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, SD memory card, and more. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on all the great Icom radios. And you can tune in and enter to win after each episode of Ham Nation. Go to icomamerica.com/hamnation and register for some great swag prizes like T-shirts and hats. And while you're there, learn how you could win in the monthly grand prize drawing for a new radio. And for February, that new radio is going to be the Icom ID51A Plus 2 dual band, dual watch, VHF, UHF handheld transceiver, just like this one right here. Of course, they've got some new camouflage colors out now with the Plus 2 models. Does analog and D-Star, built-in GPS receiver, DV and FM repeater list function, independent AM/FM receiver. A free Android app is available for download, and a lot more. So go to icomamerica.com/hamnation after this and each episode of Ham Nation and register to win. Sign up. Good luck, and don't forget to follow Icom America Inc. on Facebook and Twitter. And now, Val, tell us about your vacation.
I had a great vacation. Obviously, Jerry and I just came back from Puerto Rico. We had a ball hanging out with Angel, Jim Brakall, and, of course, Ray Novak from Icom. Since Gordo's not here tonight, maybe I have to fill in the spot for the short shot. So go ahead and roll that video from the Puerto Rico State Convention. So Jerry and I had the pleasure of attending the Puerto Rico State Convention. There's a look at the hotel. A lot of the hams stayed at the Punta Maracayo. Beautiful hotel, just steps from the beach. Their property goes all the way up to the ocean, and there's a look at the ocean. As you can see, nobody's in the pool, hardly anybody in the ocean, and it was in the 80s every day. It was off season, so it's a good time to go to Puerto Rico. And here we are getting ready for the show on Ham Nation from the Arecibo control room. And this is where we got to first meet a lot of the gentlemen who are in charge of the planning committee for the convention. And you can see me there in the control room. Well, the next day we came back, and here's a look at that same shot in the control room, and you can see the Gregarian Dome and the platform out there that Jerry and I get to climb and go inside. And here's just a couple of photos to tease you, because I'm going to do a full video on this, because there was a lot of information that we learned when we went up on the platform. Right there, I'm about 550 feet above the 1,000-foot dish, dangling suspended from cable. It's pretty cool, kind of scary, but definitely worth the trip, and a lot of great photos. And I had GoPro camera on me the whole time, so I'm going to have a great video 2 weeks from now. There's a look at the broadband 430 megahertz antenna. That thing's over 100 feet long and huge. Doesn't look like it there. And there we are down at the underneath the dish, looking up at the structure. Now, one thing cool you get to do at Arecibo that you don't get to do anywhere else: walk inside of a power supply. You get to do that at Arecibo. So get ready. That video is going to be pretty cool, and that's 2 weeks from now. But let's go back to the convention, which is what we're talking about tonight. Now, Thursday night, the planning committee had a special reception for its honored guests, which we were a part of. This is Maryland's, which is on the same property as the hotel, and it's right on the ocean. It has a tiki bar and everything, pretty cool. Friday night, they had an open reception, dinner, and awards ceremony for any hams invited to attend. So that was pretty cool. Lots of us got great presents. Want to thank the team for that. And everybody had a pretty good time getting to meet all the hams in Puerto Rico. And they actually had it at one of the oldest buildings on the island. And there's the whole planning committee for the convention. They even had live music after the event. And, of course, Saturday's one of the 2 big days. It's Saturday and Sunday at the actual convention. And, of course, ARRL had to be there because it's the ARRL Puerto Rico State Convention. One thing unique about this one is it's free. When you come in, you just sign in with your name and your call sign and you're in. So that was a cool bonus. Lots of great booths. There's the Icom booth, obviously. And we also have Alpha Antenna. They were there, as well as R&L Electronics. Lots of vendors there. Lots of deals to be had, and different clubs, and obviously you have to have a card guy at the at a convention. And here's another look at Alpha Antenna. And one thing I really noticed about this convention is a lot of people brought their wives and their kids. It was really a family event, which made it really extra special. So hint, hint, it might help you grease the wheels with the XYL so you guys can go to Puerto Rico in January in the middle of winter. One thing cool about this, if you notice in the background, the QSLing of the future, that's pretty interesting, and I'm going to be doing something on that when I have a chance in the next few months or so. There's some homemade baked goodies and smoothies going on. Of course, you've got to have your hen with little chicks for sale. Not sure what that was all about, but there they were. And of course, you have your classes or your forums. Jim Breakall did an OWA class, as well as Joe Taylor did a presentation, and along with Don Deso did one on tower climbing. And they also have at the state convention an iron ham competition. Now, this is unique in that it's not an operating thing. You have to do a fox hunt, build an antenna, and operate. So it looks for the true all-around ham. And here I am operating the Whiskey 1 Alpha Whiskey stroke Kilo Papa 4 special event station. And as you'll hear, it's very loud and very hard to hear there. It's a great place to get some good food, sit down, see some old friends, make some new friends, get some good deals. A really nice convention. They actually broke records, had over 1,500 people at the convention this year. And Angel, WP3R, won their version of a Ham of the Year award. So that was really cool. And of course, lots of great prizes. Icom donated $7,100, and Yezu donated a radio as well. So lots of good stuff at the convention. Now, later that night, Saturday night, they had a reception, dinner, and a DJ. And you can see Jerry and I enjoying the conga line. By the way, alcohol was involved in that one. But really, sincerely, a special thanks to everybody at Kilo Papa 4 for putting on such a great state convention. It's more than a ham fest. It's a cultural event. You really need to put this on your bucket list to attend at least once in your lifetime. And I want to give a special thanks to Oscar, Kilo Papa 4 radio frequency. He supplied me with most of the photos for this. So definitely worth going. Highly recommend it. To at least go just once. Beautiful weather, good time to get out of, especially the northern region of the states in January. So, but that's all I've got for this week. And make sure you tune in 2 weeks because I got some great stuff from the Arecibo Observatory. So on to DX. First slide I've got for upcoming DX. This stuff's going on right now through the next couple of weeks. We've got Easter Island's going to be coming up, Guinea, Rwanda, the TL8 Tango Tango, the Central African Republic, they're on the air right now. Bhutan should be on today, and also Macau. If you show the next slide, I kind of got it off DX World. They have that featured DXpedition timeline. So if you go to dxworld.net, they keep this so up to date, and you can click on this and get more details when you go to the website. So really cool. It tells you what days are going to be there and the call signs, and you can click on it and get more details. But so good DX coming up. And this weekend, if you go to the next slide, we've got the WPX Ready Contest. Now that's a really big one. And that's what's really fun about this one is it's not more points to work Europe versus working your neighbor. Any new prefix is a multiplier. So if you work, I'm November Victor 9. If you work me, November Victor 9 Lima, you get me as points and a multiplier. And then if you work a November Victor 9 X-ray, you'll get points for him, but you just won't get the multiplier. And then November Victor 8 or Kilo 9, the first Kilo 9 are points, and then the second one's points, but not a multiplier. So you can work everybody from next door to around the world, and it's a blast, and it's a good way to get involved in RIDI. Also coming up, not this weekend, but the 17th through the 19th, for those of you who like to chase those special events, they're going to have the South America Lighthouse Weekend. And if you want to put that link up there, Brian, it's all in Spanish. But you can go down and there is a list, and when you click on either one of those blue boxes there, the FARO 2017, those give the list of, go back to the other one, the right one, I'm sorry. And that's the list, and there's I think I counted right, 48 lighthouses. So you can have a lot of fun chasing all those lighthouses on the 17th through the 19th. And that website is GrupoDXBB.com, and that's GRUPODXBB, like bravo.com.ar. And that's all I've got. So I'm going to head it back to you, George.
And if I unclick my microphone mute there, well, it looks like y'all had a great time. And boy, Puerto Rico looks nice, really nice.
And it was so dead. I couldn't believe. I was expecting to see the beaches full and the pool full, and it was, it was really a good time to go there.
Wow. Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to hearing more about that in the future. And we'll see you back here a little bit later when we get Amanda back with us. But right now, Don has an important message for us.
I do. And as a matter of fact, Val, the chicken is painfully obvious. It's ham and eggs, Val. It's ham and eggs. Ham and eggs.
There you go.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was a really horrible. It was a horrible joke, but hey, I cracked myself
clever.
up.
That's good. They're right out there on the floor. I'm like, what the heck are these chickens doing here?
Ham and eggs. Ham and eggs. I went to
they wake
Hamfest
you up
once.
so you can work 160.
Yeah. Went to Hamfest once, and a friend of mine, we were at Cracker Barrel in Alabama, and he still had his Huntsville Hamfest badge on, which I have one right here, as a matter of fact. And the lady at the register said, "Huntsville Hamfest? I never heard of that. What do y'all do? Chase pigs up and down the street?" Swear to God that happened. Crazy. All right, let's talk about Hover. When you get a great idea like ham and eggs, maybe you want to do a blog about ham and eggs or start up a ham and eggs website. Got to have a great domain name. Now with Hover, it's incredibly easy to set up your domain name with the most popular website builders. There are over 400 domain extensions, so you don't have to have .com. You don't have to have .net. Of course, you can. What about I don't know? Maybe you're an interior designer. You want a .design domain, or you're a kind of a technical electronic deal, and you want a .tech, .tech. You can have that. You can also have .pizza, .ninja, .horse. Have whatever you want. Once you find your domain, you can use Hover Connect to set it up automatically with your website in just a few clicks. You also get more on-brand or professional email address. You can do that. Get your own on-brand or professional email address. Your domain works with whatever email program that you're already using. Works great with everything. But all you want to do is buy a domain name or an email address. You shouldn't have to opt out of page after page of add-ons that you don't want or you don't need. That's why Hover only offers domains and email. It's all they do. You can focus on finding a great domain name and then get back to working on your great idea. And unlike most other domain providers, Hover includes free Who Is privacy with all the supported domains to keep your information confidential. And if you already have multiple domains scattered across other domain providers, you can save money by bringing them all over to Hover. They offer volume discounts. The more domains you have in your account, the more of a discount Hover will automatically apply to that account. No more digging through help articles to figure out how to get your domain working either. If you need a hand, give Hover a call, and their awesome support team is right there. So, for the perfect domain name for your idea, go to hover.com and use promo code HAMNATION at checkout to save 10% off your first purchase. Hover, H-O-V-E-R, hover.com, promo code HAMNATION. And, of course, Hover, we thank you so much for your support of Ham Nation. Now, George, you work at radio stations. You know, they don't get much bigger than our friends over at WTWW at 5085 and 12.105 tonight. They're, of course, carrying the audio to Ham Nation. And Ted, we appreciate everything you do for us. Ted's a good guy over there at the QSO show. In fact, I'm going to be on there every Tuesday night, every second Tuesday of the month, starting next Tuesday. He's going to have me on as a guest. Why? I don't know. Must be a slow night, but he said, hey, come on, and that's what we're going to do. So, George, there you go. Second Tuesday on WTWW. I'm going to be there.
Well, that sounds like a great time, Don. You know, you can probably make a lot better contacts on that big shortwave transmitter than you can make with your 100 watts in a wire.
Monster. It's monster. All 50 states, all the time. It's a monster radio station.
Yep.
Monster.
And Ted's a great guy. We'll have to have him back again sometime. Well, tonight on Smokin' Solder, as promised earlier, it's a double barrel feature. We've got Randy up first, and he's going to show us how to easily check the polarity of power poles.
So you show up to field day or a public service event and somebody says, plug your radio in here. Do you really trust it? Let me show you how you can build a polarity tester to make sure it's correct before you plug into your radio. So I'm going to use this LED for the polarity tester. It's a very special LED in that it has two LEDs inside the case. There's a red and a green. So when you apply voltage in one direction, it'll light up green. You apply the voltage in the other direction, it'll light up red. This will give us a go, no-go polarity tester. So when you're using LEDs, you have to be a little careful. You just cannot typically connect them up directly to a power source. They'll draw a large amount of current and burn themselves out. So typically you need to use a current limiting resistor in series with the LED. Now some LEDs have the current limiting resistor built in. This one does not, so we'll be using an external resistor. And we'll check the data sheet to see how much current or what the maximum current is so we can scale the resistor. Okay, here's a data sheet. I'm not sure if it's for the LED I have. I bought mine at a Hamfester somewhere, in a little bag with 5 of them for a couple bucks. Had them on the shelf. So anyway, this is probably close enough. So it shows the two terminals, shows the pin out here, and the short lead is the anode for the green, the long lead is the anode for the red. We'll see what that means in a second. And over here is what we need to take a closer look at. So kind of a couple things we need to look on at the data sheet. One is the maximum forward current going through. So that's what we got to make sure we don't go beyond that. So for the red LED, it's 30 milliamps, and for the green LED, it's also 30 milliamps. And the other number that we need to look at is the voltage drop across the LED. So the forward voltage in the red is 2 volts. The forward voltage for the green is 2.2. So we can use 2 volts and 30 milliamps when working with this LED. So I drew out the package for the LED. The short lead is for the green anode. The longer lead connects to the red anode. So an LED is made up of an anode and a cathode, and we want to apply the positive voltage towards the anode side of the LED and the minus voltage towards the cathode. So inside the package is 2 LEDs back to back, and this is the green one, and this is the red one, and here's the anode. We want that to go towards the positive voltage. So this will go off to our 12 volts and with a resistor. Okay, so I've drawn the resistor in series with the green anode basically, because that's going to go towards the positive. And now we need to determine what the size of that resistor should be. So from the data sheet we saw that we're going to drop 2 volts across the diode. So if I'm feeding this, say, with 12 volts, that then means we're going to have a 10 volt drop across the resistor. And the maximum amount of current through the LEDs was specified as 30 milliamps. Now, we don't want to get anywhere near that. We want to be safe. So now's the time to look at a little bit of Ohm's law. When we know two things, we can find out the third. So let's figure on, to make this easy numbers, see if it works, 10 milliamps and 10 volts. So what should the resistor be? Well, if you have a little Ohm's law table like this, around the outside is the value that we want to determine. We want to determine the resistance. So that means we divide the voltage by the current. So if we write that out here, that'll be R will be equal to 10 volts, and divided by the current, 10 milliamps is 0.01, and that will be equal to 1,000 ohms, or 1K. So I have my 12-volt battery, and I've made up a power pole cable, the power pole connectors on one end, and little pins to go into the breadboard on the other end. So I have my breadboard with my battery connected with the positive and negative leads. Here's the LED. You can see here, this is the shorter, and this is the longer lead. So we want to connect it with the short lead towards the positive. I'll put that in. And I have a 1 kilo ohm, 1K resistor, brown, black, red. And I'm going to put that between the other pin of the LED and the ground. And you can see that's lit up green. And if the power polarity was reversed, I'm going to switch the leads here, put the plus on the resistor end and the negative on the LED end. You can see it lights up red. So if it's green, it means we're good to go. If it's red, don't plug your radio in. So 10 milliamps is plenty bright enough. So we'll use the 1K resistor. So to check the current, I put my meter in series with the positive lead of coming out of the battery to the positive lead of the LED, and it's showing 9 milliamps. So we got close. Good enough. It's nice and bright. Well, now it comes time to package it up. So I have a floss container, an empty one here, and it pops open. So what I've done, I've drilled a hole in one end, and that's where the LED is going to pop out. And I cut this, and it actually kind of split, but that's okay. And I have this other hole down in here, which is where the cable, and just to be all closed up, and I'll have my LED on there. So I'll quickly put this together. So I have this short piece of wire, and I'll crimp on the power pole connectors. We all know how to do that now. Assemble connectors. I'm going to poke the LED in through the hole. I've drilled it with a 3/16 inch drill bit, and it's pretty tight, so it'll stay in there. And the right hand lead is the green, so that's going to be the plus, and the minus over on that side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the green or the positive lead short, and cut the lead on the resistor short, and solder that on there. Then solder the plus lead on the other end of the resistor, and put a piece of heat shrink tubing over that so it doesn't short. And now I just need to connect up the black wire. And I'm going to connect that in the LED right next to the resistor body. I think I've got it. Push the leads out of the way. Close that up. Got my polarity checker. Okay, so I have it all finished up. I have my battery right here, and for the moment of truth, plug it in, and it's lit up green. So that means the power connectors are proper on both ends. So it's safe to plug my radio in at that power cord that was handed to me at field day. Thanks for watching. This is Randy, K7AGE.
Well, that's a neat trick there, Randy, and, keeps your teeth clean, too. How can you beat that? Well, we're going to have another video here in just a moment, but we've got a special roaming reporter with us here tonight from Orlando.
Roaming. Yeah. Yeah, we We just landed. Sarah and I just got into Orlando. We drove down from Fairview Heights yesterday, stopped off near Atlanta, and here we are. We're all ready to go, and we'll be over at the hall tomorrow. A while ago, I don't know, it's probably 100 miles back, we passed Rick and the MFJ truck, so I guess we'll get to see those guys here. So we'll check up with them tomorrow, George, and let them know that everybody was okay. And I hope everybody's doing well here. I got to see a little bit of Randy's video. Always good stuff, Randy. Keep it up, buddy. So that's the story from Orlando as we're getting ready for the big hamcation. And if you guys and gals are anywhere close, why, drop on by. And sure wish you could be here, George. This is a great venture.
Well, I'm going to make it down to that one sooner or later, Bob. It looks like a great one. I used to live not too terribly far from there in Fort Myers. Orlando's a nice city, lots to do there. So you can bring the YL with you, and and the kids, they've got plenty to do while you visit the Hamfest.
Got that right. Yeah, lots going on here. Well, I just thought, hey, I haven't tried it with this different phone I had, so I called Brian, and thanks for getting me in there, and we'll see everybody. Let's see, I won't be there next week either, so it's going to be a couple. I might be able to check in while I'm on the road next week, but greetings to everybody, and we'll see you here at Orlando, and make things happen for ham radio, that's for sure. Check in with Gordo tomorrow. We'll make sure he gets here, and who knows where it goes from there.
All right, Bob. Well, thanks for dropping in tonight. It was good to see you. And tell Gordo and Richard from MFJ and everybody that we said hi and wish we were there too. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
We will. We'll be back in there. By the way, is Don on tonight? Is he there?
He is.
Hey, Don, how are you doing? How you doing, buddy? Sarah and I have been kind of worried about you. Did you make it through okay?
Oh yeah, no problems for us personally, but it was kind of scary. They upgraded that tornado to an EF3, and of course, living up there where you are, you know what that means. That was a 130-mile-an-hour tornado, and 250 structures damaged, 30 people hurt, a few severe, but no deaths. That was the important thing.
Well, I'm glad you, Don, and the family were good. We were thinking about you, man, so we're glad everything's all right. Well, we'll see all you guys. Take care, guys and gals. We'll know that everything's okay with you taking care of things there. Thanks, Brian, for getting it checked in on the phone.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Bob, and we look forward to seeing you back and getting a full report on all the ham fun going on down in Orlando this week. Well, we've got another video here. You might notice I've got an oscilloscope behind me here, and also a spectrum analyzer. I bought these, I don't know, in the last couple of years, and I've used them both before, and I really enjoyed them. They're digital, so they're a little bit different than their analog counterparts, but I've never had the two on the bench before side by side playing at the same time. So let's take a look at that and, just get a brief idea of some of the differences between them. Today, we're going to take a brief look at the differences between an oscilloscope and a spectrum analyzer. Now, this is not really an in-depth review of how to operate either one of these instruments. It's just an overview of some of the differences between the two. The gear I'm going to use here is an MFJ 259C antenna analyzer. I've also got an MFJ 226 antenna analyzer and a Rig Expert AA230 zoom. I'm going to use these as oscillators, and they're designed to be used that way, but really there's some other stuff in the circuitry at the same time so that it can measure impedance and such. Now first, let's look at our two instruments here. The oscilloscope is designed for time domain type measurements. The vertical axis is showing us the amplitude of the signals, and that's generally going to be in volts or millivolts, depending on how we have it adjusted. And the horizontal axis here is based on time. An oscilloscope has a high input impedance so that it doesn't load down the circuit that you're measuring. The spectrum analyzer's vertical axis is also an amplitude measurement, generally calibrated in dBs. However, the horizontal axis is in the frequency domain. Also, the spectrum analyzer has an input impedance of 50 ohms. We've adjusted the MFJ259C to be approximately 10 megahertz. It will drift around just a little bit, but that really doesn't matter. If we look at the oscilloscope here, we see what looks like a nice, clean 10 megahertz signal. However, if we look at the spectrum analyzer, we see that there's one peak right here, and I've set a marker on it. That marker is at 10 megahertz. There's another little peak right here. Let's see where that one is. That one's at 20 megahertz. There's another one out here at 30. And another one out here at 40 megahertz. And then after that, it's pretty much flat. So what this means is with the oscilloscope, we can look in at the individual cycles of the sine wave there and get a good look at just how clean they may be, but we could still be missing some information, like all these harmonics we've got out here at every 10 megahertz out to 30 megahertz. We wouldn't know that by looking at the oscilloscope, but it's readily apparent looking at the spectrum analyzer. And it might be interesting to note that the MFJ is showing an SWR here of 1.3 to 1.4. What it's measuring is the input impedance of the spectrum analyzer. Let's take another look here. This time we'll use the MFJ226 analyzer to see what the waveform on it looks like. The signal on the scope is a little lower amplitude. We can crank that up if we want to get a better look at it. But over on the spectrum analyzer, it's a little bit different story. We've got a harmonic out here, 10 megahertz away, and a very small one right here at 20 megahertz away. But after that, it's pretty clean out there. And really, the one here that's 20 megahertz away is way down. So we can adjust the resolution bandwidth of the spectrum analyzer to get a little higher resolution view. When we do that, we can see that actually there were a couple more spurs out there at a much lower level. Before, our noise floor was at 50 dB. Now that we've adjusted our resolution bandwidth out to 3 kilohertz, we can see our noise floor down here less than minus 70 dB. And that allows us to see these other little spikes peeking their head up. We also see some other spikes that are occasionally happening down in there. All of these are almost 70 dB below our reference signal. So what does the MFJ226 show as the VSWR? 1.39 to 1. Almost the same thing we had with the MFJ259C. Now let's take a look at the Rig Expert. We've got 1.39 with it. Same thing we had with the MFJ. But if we look over here at the oscilloscope, it's a much different story. Look at that jagged square wave. If we look at the spectrum analyzer, there's a lot more harmonics extending way out. If we broaden the span here on the spectrum analyzer, we can see that there's actually harmonic spurs being generated way away from our 10 megahertz carrier. Let's just set a marker and look at one of them. You can see that little 4 moving around there. Now let's just go out to the last one we see here. Okay, there we go. 139 megahertz. Well, that's way away from 10 megahertz. Well, does that actually matter with an antenna analyzer? We're getting more or less the same reading from it, so that is a good question. What you're going to see on an oscilloscope looks totally different from what you're going to see on a spectrum analyzer. We knew this wasn't a clean sine wave here, but we wouldn't have guessed that there were harmonics extending almost 140 megahertz, probably further away from the fundamental. If you've got one of the newer digital oscilloscopes, some of those include some math functions Occasionally, that is an upgrade in the firmware. This one right here has the math functions, though, and there's an FFT function on it. Let's turn that on. Down here at the bottom, we can see what is pretty much a spectrum analyzer. It's not quite as high a resolution as we've got over here on a real spectrum analyzer, but, you know, it is showing us there all of those spikes that we were seeing on this side. So that's a handy function to have in an oscilloscope. I wouldn't say that it would replace a traditional spectrum analyzer, but it could be quite useful in a number of situations. So there you go. Just a brief look at some of the differences between an oscilloscope and a spectrum analyzer, and also some of the big differences between some of the antenna analyzers that are out there. Okay, so if you're wondering, you know, kind of what's the difference, well, that's part of the difference. You know, I was really sort of impressed with the FFT functions of the Rigol oscilloscope there. That could be pretty useful. It's not really a good high resolution spectrum analyzer, but could be quite useful. And nice to know that I've got it handy there. Now, not all scopes have that function in them. Usually you'll look for a digital scope that says it has math functions with it. It's a firmware upgrade on this one. And well, fortunately mine has that. But pretty neat nonetheless. Well, I got a tech tip here before we give away some things. Recently, I bought several bundles of these cheap clip leads that you see at all the ham fest. And same thing that you find everywhere, basically. Really cheap. But, you know, I tried using them on something critical, on some troubleshooting, and, you know, every time I squeeze them, the insulation just moves around or the clip rolls one thing or another. The alligator there, well, you can't really see it in the photo, but his teeth don't match up on the top and bottom. They're kind of lopsided, you know. He could have used braces, I guess, but, you know, they're not very good clip leads. I'll just put it that way. You can make them work, but I was really disappointed by these. You know, cheap clip leads used to be better. But when it comes to alligator clips, it's hard to beat a Mueller alligator clip. And, you know, this is the standard ones that everyone's used for years and years. They're a little more expensive. You know, I like to buy these and then buy some of the rubber insulated test lead wire and roll my own. Well, so I decided I needed to do that for work because I'm just wasting time with these little cheap ones here. So I ordered a bag of the Mueller clips here and got my test lead instrument cable. I was going to put them together today and run into a little issue here. These particular ones that I got, they were a little more expensive, 60-something cents a piece. They're stainless steel. Well, it is next to impossible to solder stainless steel, at least with the stuff that I tried. I got one of them to solder, and it looked really good, but I just couldn't get the rest of them to 10. So I don't know. I'm sure there's a secret to soldering stainless steel. I don't know what that secret is, though, and none of the flux or different solder types I had would stick to it. So these are going to be relegated to my helping hands. You know, they'll work good in there, and I'll know that when I'm soldering, it's not going to stick to them. So I guess that's one good thing about them there. I've got to order some more. I think I'll order probably nickel-plated next. Well, you know, last week I asked a question, and it was, which of the following is the most common cause for failure of coaxial cable? A, moisture contamination, B, gamma rays, C, the velocity factor exceeds 1.0, or D, overloading. Well, I got an answer from Ryan Ronning, WC6Q, and he said the answer is moisture contamination. And you're correct, Ryan. So you're going to be the winner of this DX Engineering Sport tote bag. A nice tote bag to carry, well, whatever you want to in it, your clothes, your ham gear. I'll use this one for all kinds of stuff. So you're going to enjoy that. I've got another prize for next week. It's going to be the MFJ 2703N three-way antenna switch. These are really good. I built what did I even call that thing now? I've got one operated by a servo connected to my HF rig over here, and I used an Arduino. We showed that to you back when I did that. And this is what I'm using. The servo just turns it. It's worked great, but I really like these switches here. They're nice. This one is a type-in connector on it. It's good for DC to 1.5 gigahertz. They also have them with SO239s on them to fit your PL259s. Those will go to 800 megahertz. You can get up to 2 kilowatts through one of these on HF, 1 kilowatt on VHF, or 500 watts at UHF frequencies. So it's going to cover most applications that you would have. If you'd like to win that, well, then answer this question for me. Who invented the CRT oscilloscope? If you think you know the answer, send it to me, hamnationcontest@gmail.com, and you could be next week's lucky winner of this MFJ antenna switch. We'll be back in just a moment with Amanda and the chat line, but first, Don, you've got another important message, don't you?
I do. I'm looking through here to get more information on that tote bag. I need one of those DX Engineering tote bags. I've been looking at those for a while. Those are nice. I need one. See, now you got me jonesing. All right, ZipRecruiter. I want to talk about ZipRecruiter. I'd love to talk about that tote bag, but I want to talk about ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? Do you have a business? Are you in charge of hiring for your business? It's a pain. It's a total pain. Well, with ZipRecruiter, posting your job in one place, it's not enough to find quality candidates. That's where ZipRecruiter comes in. If you want to find the perfect hire, you need to post your job on all the top job sites. You can do that with ZipRecruiter. Within the last couple of years, I had to hire my assistant at work, and I wish I could have used ZipRecruiter. We had some cockamamie thing that corporate made me use, and it was a horrible experience. I hated it. Well, ZipRecruiter, it simplifies everything. You post your job to 200 plus job sites, including social media networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. You can find candidates in any city, any industry, nationwide, or right around the corner. Post just once. Your candidates will roll into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. That means no more juggling emails, no more juggling calls to your office. You can quickly screen your candidates, rate them, give them the thumbs up, the thumbs down, and hire the right person right away. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by Fortune 100 companies and thousands of small and medium-sized businesses, but sadly not me because, well, I don't know. I wasn't in charge. People really should ask me about things more. I should really be consulted more, don't you think? Well, if you were to ask me, I would tell you, post your job on ZipRecruiter, and you can do it for free right now by going to ZipRecruiter.com/twit, ZipRecruiter.com/twit. And ZipRecruiter, thank you for being part of the Ham Nation family. We appreciate you. ZipRecruiter.com. So there you go. Amanda, if you need to hire anybody over there for the family business for printing, so you suddenly got 1.5 million orders for QSL cards to your printing business over there, you're going to need somebody to, I don't know, put Band-Aids on paper cuts or something. ZipRecruiter, that's where you need to go.
Thank you so much. Don, before I let you go, there is a very important question from the chat room tonight.
Okay.
Are you ready? Okay.
Yes.
What was your CB handle?
Oh, okay. Well, I had a couple actually. And no, they're not goofy like I know you people think they are. The first one, no, I didn't. No, oddly enough, I didn't. Well, there was already one of those. But my first CB radio was a little 100 milliwatt Channel 14 walkie-talkie like you would buy at Walmart or, well, we didn't have Walmart back then, but TG&Y or the dollar store or whatever. And everybody's got these nicknames. I got to come up with a nickname. And the brand of it was Comet. So I called myself Comet. And then later on, I was a big fan of this one particular disc jockey in Los Angeles. His name was Machine Gun Kelly, MG Kelly. And he actually is from Oklahoma and got his start at a radio station that I eventually worked at. And so one of his nicknames that he called himself on the air was Gunner. So I adopted that, and I dropped the Comet and became Gunner. So there you go. That was my CB handle back in the mid-'70s.
Okay, you guys, there you go. That's what he was back in the day. Not anything like Daddy Long Legs or anything like that. I was expecting something more interesting.
There were others that I used incognito for various nefarious illicit
all right,
things.
Spencer.
Not sure the statute of limitations is passed on that yet.
Moving on from there, Miss Val. Here comes the real important questions. All right, good night, Don. Val, how long have you been using the SETI screensaver, and how many units processed?
Okay, let me check. While I do that, I was the Bionic Bunny. That was my CB handle.
Of course you were. Of course you were.
Because I adored the Bionic Woman. I wanted to be the Bionic Woman. But hang on, let me pull up my Boink. And I put it up. Okay, you know what? I had problems when I first brought it up last week after I came back from Arecibo. The SETI wasn't up, so I did the asteroid project. So it was looking for asteroids. But then SETI I put up on February 5th, and I'm at 8,900 whatever. I don't know what it is, but I've done 8,900 something since the 4th.
And for all of us that are lost in this whole lingo, what are you talking about?
Well, when I was from Arecibo, they are the largest radio telescope, and they're pulling signals from outer space, radio signals, and they can't, to find that special frequency, like he said, we all have noise about us. Everybody makes noise, but intelligent life has a distinct signal, and they can't scan the entire sky. There's just so much. So they ask all of us, anybody, to download the SETI screensaver. So when you're not using your computer, they're using your computer to look at one tiny little piece in the sky and listen to the signals for any intelligent life. And they also have an asteroid project, because I couldn't get SETI up, so I thought I'd do the asteroid project. So they were looking for asteroids in some small sector of the universe on my computer. So but now I got on SETI on the 4th. So that's what's going on. And they give you this app that you use called BOINC, I think it is, Boink. So it's kind of cool to watch on your screen when you're not using it. It doesn't do it while you're working, so it won't interfere with your your processing while you're doing stuff, and it just does it when you walk away. And you can see it all on your screen, what sector it's looking at, and looking at radio signals. It's kind of cool.
Wow, that's amazing, actually. Pretty.
There it is. That's what it looks like on your screen when it's doing it. Or, yeah, you got that up, Brian? Because that's what my screen normally looks like when I don't use it for a while. Yeah. So.
And Don, stay away from the boinking, okay? Okay, one more question for you, Val. And I think you answered this a couple weeks ago when you were actually at Arecibo. But is there a radio quiet zone near Arecibo? That's into FYE. Andy would like to know.
Well, you mean like when we enter the property of Arecibo, there's guards. There's a big fence that rolls out, and then there's a guard station. So at that point, then you have to turn off anything, all your cell phones. You have to put into airplane mode or turn them off. There's also issues with your car remotes. That uses a frequency to lock and unlock your doors and stuff on your car. So we had to manually lock our doors when we were on the property. We couldn't use the remote to do that. Is that the question?
I think so. Yeah, that would be the quiet zone or the interruption zone for most of your.
Especially when they're running tests, and they were running some really cool tests. Not just radio; they were doing this thing called lidar, like radar, but it was a beam straight up into the sky as far as you can see. And the one we were looking at was green, which I can't remember. I have it in my notes. I think the green was potassium, and the orange beams were. Do you remember? Sulfate. I don't know, but they measure something in the light, and it goes as far as the eye can see up into space. It was pretty cool. We met the girl. She was from India. She's in charge of the LIDAR project. So not just radio signals, it's also light. So it was kind of cool. A lot of cool things going on there.
It's amazing, actually. That's very great. Thanks, Val, for the info. And I'm just going to put this out there. I know Gordo's not here, and he's usually the expert. Are any of you guys good at AvMap for APRS stuff? George, maybe?
I've seen it, but I've never used it. Yeah, I've never used it.
Me neither.
We'll hold on to that question then. All right, one announcement. KB9EWG wants us to know that his coffee shop is having a 24-hour marathon on Echolink this weekend, and all hams are invited. I don't know what the reference to coffee shop is, but you guys should definitely Google it. Anyhow, node 370143, also known as KB4 SVP, and that's from 0600 Eastern Time on Saturday till 0600 Sunday Eastern Time. So you guys check in there, and you'll make their day. All right, that's all I have. So just a couple of other just general announcements. Let's go. Brian, do you mind bringing up your Twit store to the Ham Nation t-shirts, you guys? This is the coolest thing, and we didn't show it last week. There are Ham Nation t-shirts available now. You can support
I want
us
one.
I do too, only if it's in pink.
I want a green one. And by the way, while he's bringing that up, questions about the AvMap. I bet if you go to W6 GPS and direct those to him, he is like the AvMap dude. Look him up on QRZ. He's a lot of time he's in the chat room, but Whiskey 6 GPS, Global Positioning System, and send him an email. He'll be able to answer just about everything. That's a great shirt. And if they have it in green, I'm in. Oh, the yellow sharp, the red sharp, the yellow sharp, but is there a green one, Brian? Because I'm a freak for green. I love green. Is that green? I can't.
Doesn't appear to be a green one, but we can always put in a request. Special request.
Well,
Are there sweatshirts, Brian? Are there sweatshirts?
Do we have a show with green shirts? Because I might switch over to that one.
Yeah, we definitely have that.
Oh, I see pink.
We don't seem to have pink. I don't see pink. And I don't see a sweatshirt. But we could. It doesn't mean we won't ever have them, though. I can put in the suggestion.
Amanda, we're starting our own show. That's all over.
Yeah. Green and pink.
Pinky and the Green Man.
Funny. Okay, I have one other thing besides the nets to get to, and I know Don, like in AR Newsline, he had said we don't normally mention SKs, but I do have one to mention tonight that was very dear to our hearts here in Colorado. Brian, if you don't mind showing George's picture there. This is WA9 TCD George, and he's been a very active ham in Colorado and very dear to a lot of people's hearts. He was a very active VE here and licensed many kiddos as well as adults. So we'd like to say rest in peace, George, and we'll miss you forever here in Colorado. Such a great help for Aries and ham clubs all around the state. So 73, George, we'll miss you.
There you go.
And with that being said, let's go over the nets for tonight. First, we have the 40-meter HF net on 7192. And Kevin's going to call it an early night, so get in there right away, you guys, and get your check-ins done. Also, we have 14 Charlie on the D-Star net and TAC 311 on DMR, and also Echolink with Dewdrop in. So, hope to hear you guys on there. That's all I've got. Who's wrapping it up tonight?
I'm going to put the wrapper on it. So thanks for being here tonight, Amanda. It's great to see you again. And Val, great to have you with us here, too. Any final words?
Nope. Just can't wait to do that video for Arecibo. Oh, and one thing, too, about the radio silence. All vehicles beyond a certain point had to be shielded. So there must be some kind of signals going on in the car too. So we can only park at a certain level. So it's really cool. Just you got to watch in 2 weeks. A lot of stuff.
Oh, really looking forward to that. That is one interesting place there. Don, I know it's too much to ask, but any final words from you?
No, I've probably said enough, George. So let's just leave it at that, shall we?
Okay. Well, to make you feel better, since you couldn't find a green T-shirt there, Andy, the guy who sent me the Hawaiian shirt here, was wanting to know if you would like a moo-moo.
No, I had a moo-moo. Let me tell you something. Last year at the company Christmas party, we did Dirty Santa, and the prize I got was this goofy woman that I work with brought a moo-moo from some store. I forget the name of the store now, but that was her Dirty Santa gift, and I'm the lucky guy that got it. And I couldn't take it back because there was no receipt, so I ended up giving it to Goodwill. So no, I've had my fill of moo-moos. Thank you very much. But I do have a green keychain, Ariat boot keychain. So there, I got my green going. But no, no moo-moos for me. Thank you very much.
All right, hang on to that keychain there. You're going to need it soon here for St. Patty's Day.
You're right.
Yep, that and a little green beer, and you'll be set to go. Well,
I got it.
Thanks for joining us again tonight, everyone. And it was good to have Bob drop in. We'll be back next week. Bob will be out again. I'm not sure about Gordo, but another fun show lined up then. Dale should be back with us. And I guess that's it from here. So 7-3, and we'll see you next week.
Good job, everybody.